Welcome to the Midwest Fantasy Sports Saloon. I'm your host, RedPants, and I'm joined with we're the two playoff runners right now, two of the last Final Four. Prime time. Prime, what's up?
You know what? I'm just glad to be here. Glad to be back in the playoffs and glad to get that first round upset like I predicted. So
yeah, let's just dive into it then. So if we can go back, you gave a whole prediction on our last show. And I think so far you hit what? You went 100% or you missed one?
Well, I predicted that Tony would be in the Final Four. So I had you, Tony, and myself in the Final Four, and Tony got beat by I think 6 points in the quarterfinals, and he benched AJ Dillon. If he would have kept AJ Dillon in, he would have won. So
and he had we were having a conversation, I think, and we were looking at that risk of having AJ Dillon. We were having a conversation in text message, I believe, and we're like, oh man, he's relying on AJ Dillon. You had Jones going, and we were saying, man, AJ Dillon's not the guy I want to risk my whole playoff on, and he subbed him out and
last second.
Last second. Wow.
He did. Wow. And then he ended up losing by I think 12 points, and AJ Dillon would have got him in by one. He would have won by 4, I think, if he started AJ Dillon. So
wow.
I almost predicted it correct. Now I will tell you my playoff prediction was a little bit off originally because I had Slade winning, but me winning and Still Curtin losing for me get in, but ended up being Slade losing, so I got in. So I wasn't quite on that, but I pretty much nailed the Final Four. I thought I nailed it. I was 3 points away from nailing it. Who the 4 top teams were. So that's kind of exciting.
I mean, maybe this is just a sign of all your March Madness brackets. You know what I mean? So you just better.
Yeah, but I also predicted myself losing this round, so I hope I'm wrong. So
there you go. So
let's see Tony the finals. Yeah.
So let's look at this. So we have RedPants Prime. We have former skinny dude, and who's the other one?
Forrest Gump.
Okay, so I'm going against former skinny dude. You have Forrest Gump.
You're going against Forrest Gump.
I got Forrest Gump.
Yep.
Okay, so you have both of us losing.
I did because I predicted Tony to be in that place instead of Forrest Gump. I will tell you, Forrest Gump is projected to beat you by 20 points this week.
I see that, and when I look at the roster, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I really think that former skinny dude and Forrest Gump have pretty solid teams top to bottom.
Well, I mean, Forrest Gump did have the 3rd or 4th most points in the league. He ended up being the 7th seed based on just, kind of bad luck, which we'll get into later. But they do. I mean, he does have a really good team. Scored a lot of points this year. So
he's got
Brady's playing in the dome in Arizona where most people are playing outside in the snow. That's going to be a huge benefit for him.
So actually, if you look at, that's the one thing that I think I have going for me a little bit is not that he's not playing outside. It's just that he has, I think, 3 Tampa Bay players on his team.
Yep.
And so if Tampa Bay gets blown out, like if they just get shut down, then I basically can pull it off. But
listen, they're going against McSorley is the quarterback for Arizona this week.
Yeah.
They're not going to get blown out. It's not going to be now unless they blow somebody out and they rest the guys. That could happen too.
Yeah. So I mean, the other thing is Arizona's defense has not been good at all. I think that they're kind of just folding the tent a little bit. So once I saw that all those players on that team, I thought, oh, I have a shot. Then I thought, you know what? No, I don't. So
well, they're playing in Arizona now. If they're playing in different conditions. So I know like the Buffalo-Chicago game, it's going to be like -12 with wind gusts of 30 miles an hour, and it snowed. It's going to be awful. I know tonight's game is going to be, they're predicting like 6 inches of rain in Jacksonville. So it's going to be crazy just the weather impacting the games this week.
Yeah, Mother Nature is playing a big part in fantasy playoffs.
Huge part. I know that the Chiefs game, it's not going to be snowing, but the temp at kickoff 0 on Saturday.
Yeah.
0. So it's going to be cold.
Miserable. All right. So let's talk about playoffs. It's, it's cool that we're both in. You know, we've
Yeah.
been doing the show all year. We're both in. This was not the case last year. You had missed playoffs last year for like the first time
Missed
ever
them. Yeah, ever. Yeah, never not missed the playoffs till last year.
in
And
the
I was so
history.
close this year. I was so close this year. I literally waited Monday night. I was rooting for Slade to lose because if he lost, I was going to get in. And it went down to the fourth quarter, 6 minutes left for it to happen. I was that close to missing the playoffs, and now I'm in the Final Four.
Here's something else: is I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you don't have this in your data, but I think this is the farthest I might have ever been. Maybe I've gone to the finals.
You were here last year. No, you've never gone to the finals.
I've never gone to the finals. I couldn't remember if it was one or the other. I know it was either 4 or the finals I had never been to. So I'm looking to try to like create history here. And
You're
so
kind of like the Buffalo Bills, just can't get over the hump here.
Can't get over the hump. So, but we talked about how you last year did make the playoffs the first time ever. You looked up in the archives of this league that's been going on for over a decade and I think a half. There's also a new never. What's that new never?
A new never. Well, this league's been going on since 2007, so it's been going on for quite a while. We've had a 12-team league since 12, so this is the 10th year of the 12-team league. We have never not had a Branscombe in the Final Four since the creation of the league. One of the 3 Branscombes has made the Final Four every single year, or multiple. They've won multiple championships between them, but they've never had a year where they've not neither Mark, John, or Tony made the Final Four.
And so for all of our fans and followers that are just like watching this like crazy, just eating this stuff up. There's three Branscombes in a group of 12. So they're a fourth of the league themselves.
Yep.
And that says a lot. Well, one, it says a lot that, they've, you said this pre-show, that they've just been dominating the league.
Yeah. Every year. Yep. Every year. In fact, this will be the first year in 3 or 4 years we won't have one of the finals. Typically, we have a Branscombe in the finals every year.
Wow.
They don't win it every year, but they're one. But when there's a fourth in the league, it makes sense. But I will tell you, once playoffs start, it's a crapshoot. You never know. I mean, I'm the 8th seed. I was projected to beat the 1 seed. I thoroughly destroyed the 1 seed. I am now the 8th seed playing the 3 seed, and I'm projected to beat the 3 seed this week. So it is. You just got to get in and see what happens. It's kind of like NCAA tournament. So
let's give a quick shout out. I looked at my receipts on my text messages to Hardman's Chubb, who was in first place, who ran the league, like just ran the table all year. He finished with like 2 losses?
Let me look it up real quick. He was 10-4.
10-4. So he was just wiping people and blowing people out of the water. And he texted me, and we were talking about the end of the season and getting first and whatever. And I just said, man, I told him it doesn't matter. Like we don't get buys. I've seen the 1 lose to the 8, and it came true. Like the 1 losing to the 8.
And I will tell you, back on the luck side too, and we'll talk about that a little more in a second. He had Nick Chubb go for 99 yards rushing, and he also had his other running back, Josh Jacobs, go for like 94 yards rushing. So he was really close to having a 20-point swing. I still beat him by 40 some, but it'd been a lot closer, I think, if those guys would have actually got that 100-yard mark. So I got fortunate on that one. And I actually started Tyler Heineke in the first round of the playoffs. That's how bad it is. This week I'm starting Gardner Minshew, baby. G. Minshew is my starter in the semifinals of the most important fantasy football league I've ever been in. So go
just streaming quarterbacks.
Yeah, you remember last year I told you I started 12 quarterbacks. I am reaching that heights this year. Like I will go through. Let me go through real quick. Let me just go through and just tell you the names that I've started this year. Okay, this is incredible. Every year I feel like this happens to me. I don't know why. Bad luck. Obviously, Kyler Murray had the bulk of my starts. I started Matt Ryan 1 week. Actually, Matt Ryan 2 weeks. Think about that for a second. Matt Ryan, who's gotten benched twice, he's been my starting quarterback. I've started Mike White. I have started, let's see here, going through here, Tyler Heineke. I started Uh, oh, Malik Willis. Who starts Malik Willis? Honestly, I did. Malik Willis. And this week I got Gardner Minshew. So it's kind of crazy that who's of quarterbacking is the primetime team.
There you go. No pun intended with the name. So, I think that there's some interesting things going on. I'm going to need, I think for both of us to end up in the finals would be epic. I think one, history for me. Two, you not making playoffs for the first time, coming back around, barely making in, getting it there in the finals, us doing the show the whole time.
And we're gonna do it. We're doing the show next week regardless. Next week we'll do a preview of the championship round, and then obviously we'll have a recap at the end. The next. We have 2 episodes left.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of this luck. You've hinted at it twice. Hey, we're going to talk about luck here in a second. So let's talk about luck. I'll say it. I'll poke the bear a little bit. There went a little. We have a group text that kind of got a little saucy. I think a little bit of sauce was just kind of dribbled in there. I think about luck. Luck was mentioned pretty heavily. Just about how this was all luck and all that kind of stuff. We won't name names, but good conversation. And so it's led you to ask me some questions. It led some other people to chime in on that on the outside of that group text. So what have you come up with, and how did we get here?
Well, the biggest thing about the luck factor is it really truly it boils down to week in, week out having the most points. That's what it boils down to. The teams with the most points typically are the best teams. So I've had conversations with members of the league about obviously putting this to a league vote for next year, but going away from head to head next year and going straight. There's 2 ways you can do it. You can say everybody plays everybody week 1, and if you have the most points, you get 12 points. If you have the second most points, you get 11 points. If you have the 12th most points, you get 1 point. Or you can do it where it's head to head each week. So you can go 12-0, you can go 11-1, you can go 10-2. Each week your record goes plus your total points. That way it kind of takes the luck out of it. Because I will say, RedPants, that you would not have made the playoffs if that was the case this last year. In fact, you were the 4 seed in our playoffs. You would not even made it if we had this new system in place. How the playoffs would work is the quarterfinal round, the top 4 scores move on. In the semifinal round, the top 2 move on, and obviously the top 1 in the championship game.
So you're saying with the total points that I scored at the end of regular season, I wouldn't even be able to make the playoffs.
You wouldn't have made the playoffs this year.
Unreal.
You were fortunate in some matchups that the other team, like for instance, our matchup, you beat me like 112 to 114. A terrible week for you and for me, but you benefited that I also had a terrible week that week as well. Oh, Matt Stafford. I also started Matt Stafford. That's the game I started him in. So add another to the list. So anyway, you would not.
So I mean, you're proving that my vote for the league is probably not going to go in the direction of this. But no, I mean, I'm pretty open. I think this would be the only league that if we go this route this is the only league that I would have that in. But yeah, it'd be,
it's just for me. It's a thought, something to do different. I think it'd be fun, and plus it makes it where you're not worrying about the other guy's team every week. Like this week, I'm worried about Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I'm worried about everybody else besides my guys. So it makes it a little more interesting each week as you look around the league and see who's scoring.
Well, we made a point when we were talking about this the other day. When I'm playing somebody like a Matthew Stafford, or Malik Willis, when I'm watching Red Zone and I see the Rams come up, and I'm thinking, oh, just don't throw a touchdown. I'm only worrying about that Matthew Stafford, right? Like that's all I'm thinking about. I don't really care who else is going off as long as it's not the team that I'm going as. Now it's like when I'm watching Red Zone, every single play matters to me because it's probably either helping or hurting me. Probably more hurting me than anything else.
Yeah. And on top of that, too, I think it would make it a little more interesting when you have those bye weeks and you're like, I'm going to punt a defensive player this week because I don't want to drop him. Well, every week matters in the points and every week matters in the standings. So you can't do that anymore. Like if you punt, you're gonna get 1 point that week, and you're gonna be shot trying to make the playoffs. So it's gonna really push the waiver wires a little more and push people, really making sure their lineups are in the best possible lineups every week. So
Yeah.
anyway, and it also changes strategy too. Like you don't want to go for those high reward, low floor guys, because if they don't produce, then you're going to be gypped that week, and it'll be tough to get back. So,
and I did bring that up about the draft. Is like
Yeah.
you're really not taking risks. It takes out a ton of risk that you're just going to go, hey, I feel like I got a good team. I could just go get the next top point getter, or I could take a reach on a rookie.
Yep.
And there's not going to be a lot more reaching. It's all going to be straight down the pipe, probably in the draft.
Well, I don't know about that. I think sometimes those younger guys are ranked higher than the older guys. I think those safer guys are lower ranked. We're going to be pulling the lower ranked guys first because we feel safer about some of those guys. Like Robert Woods is an example. He's had a mediocre year, so year, but we definitely drafted him over a rookie because we know what he's done before. So it's going to go back to that, what have you done for me lately kind of thing. It also makes our college pick kind of interesting too. Like, how is your guy going to help impact your team the next year? So that's going to make a little more impact as well.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting vote. So let's talk about the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
With the way you explained it was, the top 4 of the quarterfinals, top 4 would move on. Then the top 2 of those 4 would move on to the finals. That being said, the final 4, with what's already in there,
it would look different. It would look different because Tony would have made it based on total points, and T would have missed it based on his quarterfinal result. So it would have been me versus Tony, and then you versus Dan. The same matchups. Or actually, there's no matchup. It wouldn't be matchups. But if we did have matchups, it'd be the same matchups if I'd have Tony instead of T, because T did not have a top 4 high score. So that changes a little bit there too. So it's interesting thinking about that. T wouldn't have made it the next round, even though he did win his head-to-head.
Right. What about so if that being said, I mean that does shake things up. I mean, I think it's mind-blowing a little bit that, I mean, I'm not even in. I was the 4th seed, and I'm not even in the playoffs of the top.
Nope.
I'm not even in the top 8.
Nope.
So
not even top 8.
So give me the relist if we would base on points this year.
Okay, relist. Let me look at it. Let me open it up real quick here. Give me a second here. All right, so we would have, you would be out, and Crush would be out. So those 2 would be out, and Bill would be in, Sam would be in. That would be the updated list. I mean, the rankings are pretty much what they are. Take the 4 or 5 seeds out, and then everybody else bumps up, and then you have Bill makes it, and Sam makes. Sam is the 11th overall team in our head-to-head, but he would have been the 7 seed.
Wow!
If we'd done it this way. Yeah.
So you're telling me, in head-to-head, the 11th place team right now would have been our 7th seed.
Yeah. Yep. And you'd be the 11th.
Sheesh.
Yeah, you'd fall to 11, 4 to 11.
I don't love that feeling.
But it doesn't matter. That's next year.
Yeah. I don't have to worry
right in front of you. You're in the Final 4. Come on now.
Final 4. I'm making history.
Back-to-back years for you. Back-to-back years Final 4 for you.
Back-to-back. But this makes a good point. Back-to-back years with this other format. So, I don't know. If we look back at even last year, I probably wouldn't have been.
I'm looking right now. Let's see if you would have made it last year.
Yeah, what would it have been the top
you were
8?
Yeah, you would have made it. You were the second best team last year.
Oh, okay.
See, you were 11-3 last year.
Well, you're only as good as your last game. So that was last year. My guys are working hard this year. We're not trying to live off of last year's hype. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course not. I mean, that's why I'm starting Gardner Minshew. Come on.
Yeah, right. So going forward, well, obviously that's something that maybe our league can listen to. Yep. Hopefully they listen to this and kind of maybe start mulling that over. Obviously nothing will be set in stone until the vote next fall after the golf. And
I will tell you, I'd love to try to get a top golf set up and get together with everybody. That would be a lot of fun. The guys that could make it. like in July or something. That'd be a lot of fun. Maybe not a
Well,
golfing like golf course, but just Top Golf.
we'll just fly it. We'll fly in Monty. We'll just raise the rate of our buy-in just to buy a plane ticket.
Well,
For
guys that
Crush
can
to
make
come in.
it. Obviously, he wouldn't be able to make that, but most everybody else probably could. So it'd be kind of fun to do something like that, and we can discuss these things in live person, because that's, to me, it's better than doing via text. And,
Hey, here's the deal.
podcast-
I think if we could get everybody there, I think it's as long as everybody knows way ahead of time, we can schedule those things. So, maybe we throw out a couple of dates in this group text, and then,
Yeah.
if you want your voice heard, then you got a shot. So
we'll kick off our summer meetings with our golf game. Then we can have like just the league meeting afterwards. So
yeah. 100%. Love that. Okay. So as we close up, what any words that you have for the Chiefs going in? Any hot takes or Chiefs news that we need to look at?
I have a couple hot takes. One is fire Steve Spagnuolo. That guy, every year, I would tell you, every year I hear, we just got to get Spags guys in there. We got to get guys at Spags, this is his team. There's literally 2 holdovers from the first year he got there, and that's Chris Jones and Frank Clark. And they're still missing tackles. They're still leaving guys wide open. And for goodness sake, can we get somebody to rush the quarterback? It is insane how much we pay Chris Jones and Frank Clark, and they don't no sacks. No one gets sacks anymore. And it's okay right now. You play Davis Mills, and who was the tight end you started last week? What was his name? What was the guy's name?
Yeah.
That guy. That guy. It's like you play those guys, you can get away with it. But when we play Joe Burrow and Josh Allen in the playoffs, or even Trevor Lawrence in the first round, who's scary right now, very scary, we got to get pressure on the quarterback. And that's my biggest takeaway, is we got to do that. And I don't understand why we have the best player in the history of NFL, of the sport. Mahomes is the greatest player ever, and at the end of a game, Andy Reid wants to leave it on the foot of a kicker. How about just have Mahomes go score at the end of the game? Why are we messing around just dinking and dunking trying to get a field goal? Hey, you know what? You got the best player in football who had 20 straight completions against the Texans. Let him do his thing and just go with it. So anyway, That's it.
Yeah, just a small hot take for the Chief Nation out there. We appreciate that. I gotta say, I'm loving the because he's on my team. The McKinnon right now. He's carried me the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, so, he has been awesome. He has been good. And Pacheco's been really good too. Pacheco's just not scoring touchdowns. He is tough running the ball though. Tough.
I'm literally in one league. I'm starting them both. The other league that I'm in the playoffs, I'm in I think I'm in 5 leagues. I'm only in the playoffs in 2, and in another league, that I'm in the playoffs in, I'm starting them both.
Yeah.
And so it's starting to become a little bit more of a thing. We see where there's 2 guys are
AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones.
AJ Dillon, Zeke. Honestly, Zeke and Pollard are doing it.
Yep.
So
stinks for fantasy. I don't like that as much for fantasy, but that's okay.
No. So any last words before we close?
I think I'm going to get. I don't want to predict myself. I still think T is going to be in the championship game, because that's what I predicted earlier. And I'm going to say, Dusty, you're getting through that glass ceiling. You're going to make the finals. You and T in the finals, and we'll find out next week when we do our next podcast.
Well, that's it. You heard it from his mouth. I'm making it to the finals. Period. Here we go. Thank you for joining us. Well, this is it for the saloon. We'll see you next time.